Hello again, and welcome to another one of my videos. This week I'm going to do something a little bit different. Um, I usually am on here reviewing new 4K and Blu-ray releases, but really didn't get a whole lot in to review in the last week. So I thought I might take a few moments to just talk about some romantic films that are on Blu-ray and that um, really have stood the test of time in my life. The films that just these are kind of under the radar films with a romantic theme that I have really come to appreciate and hold close to my heart over the years. And a lot of you watching these videos probably know some of these titles. There may be some you don't know or aren't as familiar with, but it's always interesting to share some of the films that mean so much to you personally with others in case they may not know about them. So, I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but let's get started with this 1993 film, and that is Untamed Heart from 1993. This is a Kino Lorber release. I saw this film in February of 1993. It was released the same, I think maybe the week after Groundhog Day, or maybe the week of, maybe the same day that Groundhog Day was released. It's a film that kind of flew under the radar, and I was about, I guess, 22 when I saw this film, and it really affected me very deeply. It's not a film that a lot of people talk about now. It's somewhat forgotten. Marissa Tomei was coming off of her Oscar-winning, or her no, I don't think she had won the Oscar yet for My Cousin Vinny. She was certainly nominated, I know, at this point. I don't think she had actually won. I think the ceremony was after this film was released, but it was the next film to be released for her after her Oscar-winning for after her turn in My Cousin Vinny, which would get her the supporting actress Oscar. So anyway, Untamed Heart is basically she's a waitress. She and Rosie Perez are waitresses in this little diner, and one night she is attacked, and Christian Slater is the busboy who works there. He's just a little odd, and nobody knows what to make of him. But he saves her life one night when she's attacked, and she finds herself being drawn to him. And then he confides to her that he believes that he has had a baboon heart implanted in him, and she's not sure if he's being serious or or is he a little, is there something off about this guy? But it doesn't matter. She just follows her heart and eventually finds herself falling in love with Christian Slater in the film. It's just a beautifully done film. I just the characters are all. You just feel an affinity for these characters. There's some tender moments in this movie. Just if you're a romantic at heart, you're going to love Untamed Heart. And if you haven't seen it, I would recommend picking this up. It goes on sale from time to time on the Kino sales, and or if you see it, I'd say just pick it up or stream it or whatever, but see it because it's definitely worth your time. Another film that I think is under the radar is The Queen of the Stardust Ballroom. This is from 1975. This stars, I'm not sure if this is in print anymore. This was originally released on a label that is now defunct, and that was Scorpion Releasing. And this is a beautiful TV movie. When we talk about romantic movies, we tend to think about characters who are young, very youthful, and this is different and interesting because the characters in this film are well into middle age, and they're played by Maureen Stapleton and Charles Durning. And basically, Maureen Stapleton's husband dies suddenly of, I think, maybe a heart attack. I can't remember. I don't even know if they talk about it in the film. But the film structure is very interesting in that she sings. She has monologues, but she sings them in the film. And they're really beautiful dialogues about dealing with loss and grief. And then she decides to go and just start ballroom dancing. And she goes during the week ballroom dancing and meets this married mailman played by Charles Durning. And he makes no excuses that, he basically tells her, I'm married, but I really enjoy spending time with you at these dances. And they become a team on the dance floor, and they really do well together. The film has an ending that I didn't see coming. It's quite a surprise, and you may not see it coming either. But it won many Emmy. It's a multiple Emmy award-winning film. It was released in 1975. Like I said, made for television. This is directed by Sam Osteen, who was a famous film editor who edited Cool Hand Luke, among many other films. But just a beautiful, beautiful film here about the dancing and finding your passion through dancing, and a romance about people who are, in the latter part of their life, but still open to finding romance. And I just think that's a beautiful thing, that we should never close our hearts and give up on finding romance, because you never know when it might show up. And so that's the message of the film that I took away, and I love it. So anyway, Jeremy is another film. This is a Fun City Edition. It was only released a couple of years ago. Fun City Edition is a small label. It's a subsidiary of Vinegar Syndrome. And they are putting out these real quirky films like this. I love this film. You can see it has a slipcase here. It's Robbie Benson and Glynis O'Connor. There's a beautiful booklet in here, if you know anything about this film. It is. This was a film that really, it was critically a critic's darling when it came out in 1973, but somewhat forgotten now, unfortunately. And it's about two teenagers, opposite ends of the spectrum from the last film I was talking about. And it's two teenagers who fall in love, and they're both kind of outcasts. Jeremy, the main character played by Robbie Benson, he's a cellist, which that kind of puts him at odds with the other kids in his class. And then Glynis O'Connor, she's a little bit of a book smart gal, shall we say, a little bit of an intellectual, academically gifted, and so they fall for each other. And then there's a twist about the, I don't know, halfway through the film or something, that puts things in a whole different direction. There's a beautiful scene where they consummate their love affair that just really is so tender and well done. It just moved me tremendously. The songs are by Joe Brooks, who later would write and the music, and wrote and directed the film You Light Up My Life. His career, of course, ended with on not so good terms. You can Google that if you don't know the story there. But the songs are really beautiful that are in the film that he wrote. He was an ad man, did commercial jingles, and those songwriters who learned their craft via jingle writing, I think they really know how to craft memorable melodies, and it's pretty evident with this film. Just a beautiful, beautiful film. I don't want to say too much about it, but it warmed the cockles of my heart when I saw it nearly 25 years ago, and it still does today. So, Jeremy. Another film about, and these are not exactly middle-aged people in this film, but they're probably in their 30s, I would say. But Cinderella Liberty, directed by the great Mark Rydell, who also did On Golden Pond and The Cowboys with John Wayne. This is a film that is out of print. Twilight Time released it. It's a 20th Century Fox title. It's now controlled by Disney, and of course they are holding tight to all of their 20th Century Fox titles and not doing a whole lot with them, so I don't know that it's ever going to get reissued anytime soon. But just a beautiful, beautiful film about basically James Caan is a sailor, and Cinderella Liberty is when they let military people out for the weekend, and they have a weekend to themselves, but they lose his paperwork, and so he's basically in limbo. He can't go back. And so while he is waiting for his paperwork to get sorted out or whatever, he meets this prostitute played by Marsha Mason, who was Oscar nominated for this film, and they fall in love. She has an illegitimate son, and he also bonds with the child. But then, and then she finds out that she's pregnant, and so he decides that he's going to make them a legitimate family, and they're going to be a family unit, and, well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they always say. And so anyway, what happens in the latter part of this film, again, I will not spoil, but it's just a tender romance between this military man, Marine, who's trying to do the right thing and trying to make a legitimate life for this this prostitute. And it's beautifully shot by Vilmos Zsigmond, who shot Close Encounters of the Third Kind, among many, many other things. A lot of Robert Altman films he shot. Blowout for Brian De Palma, and quite a few other De Palma films as well. Just a master cinematographer, and there's some terrific widescreen cinematography here. John Williams did the score here. Beautiful songs by Paul Williams, who did the lyrics. Oscar-nominated title song, I think, or not title song, but the love theme from the film. Nice to Be Around is the name of that song. So anyway, Cinderella Liberty is another romantic film that I think is worth seeking out. And then the last one is a film that sadly has not been issued on Blu-ray, and I keep hoping and crossing my fingers that it will soon. But DVD is the best we've got on this one, and that's Frankie and Johnny, starring Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. Now, this is a film somewhat about middle-aged love. Al Pacino's character, at least, is middle-aged. Michelle Pfeiffer's character is a little younger. She's Frankie, a waitress at a New York coffee shop, and she's had a series of hurtful relationships. And Frankie is the last thing she wants because she doesn't want to start over again and let her guard down and have a romance. You know, she just doesn't. She's just not sure about that. But you know, he will not give up, and as he basically keeps on going until he can hopefully break down her defenses and win her heart. And it's just a tender, wonderful film about loneliness. I saw this film in October of 1991 when it first came out. It was the follow-up to Pretty Woman. It was directed by Gary Marshall, who also made Pretty Woman, and I was deeply affected by this film. I think I was about 21 when I saw it, and it was one of the first films where I at that point I was learning to see more adult films instead of commercial films that I had a steady diet of before then. And Frankie and Johnny was one of those first films that really, because at the time I was not in a relationship, and so I kind of was, you know, feeling a little lonely maybe at the time. And Frankie and Johnny just resonated with me. I just really felt I was sitting in the theater, I think maybe by myself on a Monday night, I remember, and just sitting there watching Frankie and Johnny, and I've really had a soft place in my heart ever since then for this film, and I just hope that somehow or some way it will be released on Blu-ray sometime in the near future. So that's my little short video about some romantic films on disc, I guess you could say, that should be out there but aren't, or that should be more well-known but aren't, I should say. They're out there. You may have to pay a little exorbitant price for some of these that are out of print, but these are films, and some of these can be found streaming. Maybe all of them can, I'm not sure, but they're just well worth seeking out if you're in a romantic mood. So that's it for this video on Adam's Corner. Until the next time, keep those discs spinning.